Hello and welcome to Eye on Crime, the show that looks at the prevention of crime and the steps we can all take to make ourselves and our communities safer. Coming up, I'll be talking to Police and Crime Commissioner for Humberside Police, Matthew Grove. We'll be giving you advice on how to keep yourself and your possessions safe, and we'll be finding out how local people are coming together to build stronger and safer communities. Now, numbers and information about each of today's subjects will be on screen, so do please, if you'd like to, feel free to get in touch. But first, how many of you have used a mobile phone while driving? Road safety campaigners are warning that in 2015, using a phone at the wheel will become a bigger killer on the road than drink driving. And according to ROSPA, the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents, a driver using a mobile phone while driving is 4 times more likely to crash. But still a lot of people do it. And I wanted to see just how much it affects concentration and driving ability. So I set up a little experiment. Well, I'm here at Drive Safe with Chris Weaver, their chief driving instructor. Chris, you're on the road probably most of the day. How big a problem are people using telephones while driving?
On a daily basis, I see it quite a lot, to be quite honest. I probably see 3 to 4 times a day.
What's the worst thing that you've seen involving texting and driving?
Horrendous things happen, such as people pulling out on me because they're too busy with the text. I've seen people swerving. I've seen someone on a zebra crossing nearly get knocked over. It's a big problem. It's a big problem.
What do you think can be done to help prevent this use of phones while driving?
I would say more awareness, but I think people are very aware of it. They just turn a blind eye to it, and they don't think it's them that's going to have the accident. They don't think it's them that's going to be in trouble if they get caught. I personally think higher fines. I think something like a £500 or £1,000 fine and 6 points on your licence would pretty much curb most of it, I would say, at a guess.
What about the people you teach? What do you tell them about using phones?
I do point them towards our website, which has a safety video section on it, and also our Facebook site, which has quite a hit-home video of somebody texting and what the results of it are. Driving attitude really is a big part of it. You know, is that text message really that important that you can't wait 30 seconds to pull over safely by the side of the road and then reply to it? I don't know.
Chris, thank you very much. Now, this is the off-road driving course, and I'm going to do a bit of an experiment now. Chris has set up, as you can probably see, a course using some cones. I'm going to drive it for the first time, concentrating fully, and then I'm going to drive it again, but using my phone at the same time. Let's see how I get on. Now, on the face of it, it looks a fairly easy course. It's a slalom course that's been set up, but I don't need to take it at any speed. Sharp right through this pair of cones. It's really not very taxing at all.
As we can see, Blair's got full control of the car there because he's using all of his concentration on actually controlling the vehicle.
It really has been not a lot of bother at all. But as I say, what'll happen when I've got a phone in my hand, well, we'll find out. So here I am at the start of the course. Again, the same slalom course, we've not moved a thing.
I'm now sending Blair the text to see what adverse effects that may have with his control of the car.
This time I'm expecting a text from Chris, and there it is. Now what I'm going to do is obviously read that text and then have to reply to it as I'm driving along. So let's just get that up as the text comes in, and off I go. Right, the text says, "Where shall we meet tomorrow and what time from Chris?" Okay, so I need to reply instantly. I'm having to do so many different things at the same time here.
Blair's looking down at his phone, steering with one hand by palming the steering wheel. When you're driving at 30 miles per hour, you may well find that you'll be drifting. And drifting across to the pavement could have some catastrophic events, such as mounting the pavement or bouncing off the curb and going across the other side of the carriageway.
Cleethorpes Pier. I've slowed right down. I didn't see where that cone was. Pier at 30 clock. Okay, right, there we are. I've just sent it. I've slowed right down. The steering is terrible. Send that, and then finally through the cones at the top. It was really difficult to do. This is in a safe off-road environment, as we've already explained, where I suppose you can use one of these if you really want to while you're driving. But you go on the road and you combine this with pedestrians, with cyclists and other motorists, you could have a recipe for disaster. And the thing is, it's that recipe for disaster that all too often claims lives. And at the worst, so many people are injured on our roads every year just because of these. Many see these as a lifeline. Not many see these as a lethal weapon. So maybe next time your phone bleeps at you and tells you there's a text message coming in, you'll think twice before replying. The idea of communities working together to support the police has of course been around for a long time. And in our modern society, with diverse cultures, varying religions and different backgrounds all living together, never has it been more important for communities to share information and work together to keep our towns safe. And one charity that is doing just that is Neighbourhood Network in Hull. And joining me now is Neighbourhood Network Manager Louise Wilkinson, together with Paddy Hewick and Barry Foote, Chair and Vice Chair of Friends of Furness Close Community Group. And it's great to see you all. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Louise, first of all, tell me about Neighbourhood Network. What do you do?
We are a registered charity that are based in Hull. We were set up and launched in November 2011 to support any type of community group that's got a community safety interest.
What are the aims behind it then?
The aims are that actually members of the public have a feeling of belonging in their community. They have a heightened aspiration to actually do something in their community. And also we want people to have and feel more empowered to actually report crimes in their area as well. We work with community safety partners, so the police, Hull City Council, Humberside Fire Brigade, NHS, and also any type of community group that has that element of community safety. So we support traditional neighbourhood watch groups, residents groups, tenants groups, allotments, primary schools, Shore Start Centres, anybody that actually has that element of community safety.
Paddy, let's talk about Furness Close. How did that come about?
I ran it myself for 2 years, bearing in mind, Blair, I work at the same time. So, I mean, obviously I don't get paid here. All my volunteers are volunteers, and none of us get paid. And then we got the local neighbour Bobby involved. I said, well, why don't you open a community group down the street? You know, have a committee. You know, don't take the pressure off yourself. And that's how the group actually came about. We take them away 2 or 3 times a year, free of charge, don't cost them anything. Take them camping, take them to go up in Dolby Forest. We just go out for the day. But what you've got to bear in mind is some children we take away have never seen a beach. Some children have never been on holiday. Some children are 10, 12, 13, 14 year old, never been out the city. Regarding crime, yeah, okay, you're always going to get that crime, regardless of what you do, you're always going to get that crime. But my own personal opinion, the group's own personal opinion, and the local neighbourhood Bobby team, yeah, we have made a massive difference. We've made a massive difference in crime.
Barry, how have the group come to be involved with the Neighbourhood Network?
When we formed as a group, we had to make a constitution, insurances, all the usual legal requirements. But as far as which sort of steering way we go, it was a bit difficult. So the opportunity to get on board with Neighbourhood Network is a group of people that have the direction. If we don't know where to go, they can point us in the right direction. So when they first started up in 2011, we were straight there, and it's been fantastic.
How has that involvement made a difference?
It's given us links to certain areas of funding that we won't be didn't even know existed. It's a melting pot of ideas, if you like. People respect what we do, but we see what other people do within the network and sort of adapt it and think, well, we can do that. that's going to help us, and away we go.
Louise, what changes have you seen in the community since you began?
There's been some really, really fantastic changes in all fairness. We have groups that actually report incidents of crime now as well, whereas before there was a little bit of apathy. So people really do want to get involved. That heightness in people's involvement in the community is really, really grown.
I know you've already voiced your thoughts on getting a national neighbourhood networks. Why do you think this should be a national thing?
I mean, speaking from our point of view, the support that we have from partner organisations is fantastic. We've built a bridge between the community and members of the public and actually these statutory organisations. Before, there were people that felt that they didn't get that response back from the agencies when they were reporting. So it is really beneficial to having these groups build the communities in their area that they really deserve.
Well, continued success to all of you. Thank you all very much indeed for joining me on the programme. It's very good to see you all. Thank you for coming in. Coming up on the programme, I'll be talking to Police and Crime Commissioner for Humberside Force Area, Matthew Grove. And we went out to ask you what you think of using a mobile phone while driving. See you after the break.
Garden fences at the rear of properties, generally speaking, are about this height. It's about 6 foot. So they are quite high, but generally speaking, somebody could climb quite easily over the top of them. What we'd always advocate is making that more difficult. Use trellis. A piece of trellis on top of the fence would mean that the fence itself becomes slightly unstable if you were trying to climb it, and that trellis itself could break, it'd make a noise, and it'd draw attention to the fact that somebody was trying to climb it. When you look over to other parts of this fence, you'll see that there is actually a rose in the middle which is growing up, makes it spiky, and the fact that there is quite a fair amount of foliage makes climbing in far more difficult, which is what we'd always recommend. When you're into the garden, have a quick look round and see what is there that potentially could help a criminal. Now, in this particular garden we've got a pitchfork, brilliant for turning over the soil, but sadly, imagine what you could do if you put that into a door and prised it open. So it's something that really wants to be kept out of the way. If they did have a problem climbing out of the garden and they were concerned about a high fence, there's a ladder just to help them. So make sure you have a quick look round and make sure there's nothing which is available that's going to assist the thief. Most sheds are really good at keeping the rain off your property, but they're not really secure buildings. When it comes to do I put a lot of locks on the shed, sometimes a great deal of locks, as we've got here, gives the impression that maybe there's something in it that might be worth having. So it could attract a burglar. Usually sheds tend to have T-hinges. So what this chap's done here is he's put in what we call a coach bolt. So that bolt goes straight through the hinge, through the door to the back. So it makes pulling that hinge off quite difficult. And it's worth considering when you're looking at the security of any shed. If you've got a window such as on this shed here, then you can see inside the shed. Board it over so that people can't look inside. When we look inside the shed, you've got to think, what have we got in here that needs securing? In this particular shed, we've got a pedal cycle. So the pedal cycle should be anchored to something solid. Either the fabric of the building, if you can get it to the floor, one of the rafters, put a ground anchor in, put the chain around the bike, and then through the anchor. It just means that when somebody, should they actually break the door open, they're going to have to then go to cut the chains before they can run off with the pedal cycle.
Welcome back to Eye on Crime. Now, we'll all have seen someone using their mobile phone while driving, won't we? Some people make or receive calls, others text or check social media accounts. But what are your views on it, and what do you think can be done about it? We took to the streets ourselves to find out.
I just think it's ignorant to be using your phone when you're driving. There's just too many accidents. You need full concentration. When there's hand-free sets, and there's no excuse for using it really.
People just don't seem to understand that what they're doing is dangerous, and it should be clamped down on. And the harder they clamp down on, the better.
I haven't seen anybody text because I think that is taking it to the extreme. But yes, I have seen people on the phone, on their mobile telephone.
I don't think more cameras on the roads is the answer. The message that gets across is it could be dangerous. You could end up injuring people that are completely innocent to your stupidity.
I don't like it. I don't like it, and especially when I see lorry drivers who probably I don't suppose it matters what they're driving, but especially when lorry drivers are online texting and stuff like that. So no, it's not good.
I've actually known somebody who's been involved in a fatality whilst somebody was using their mobile phone whilst driving. It was quite difficult really at the time because I knew the person who'd been using the phone, so that was quite a difficult situation for everybody involved. Both families were affected greatly.
Matthew Grove is the Police and Crime Commissioner for the Humberside Force area. He's the first person to hold the post and was elected in November 2012 following a closely fought race with, amongst others, Labour's Lord Prescott. But I'm delighted that Matthew joins me in the studio now, and it is very good to see you as well. First of all, just describe, if you can, your role as the Crime and Police Commissioner.
Well, as Police and Crime Commissioner, I'm the servant of the near 1 million residents of East Yorkshire and Northern Lincolnshire. And my role is to be their voice, to make sure that they receive an effective, robust policing service that properly protects them. But more importantly than that, I'm also responsible for overseeing the wider criminal justice system to challenge the operation of the courts, probation, the prison service. But absolutely vitally, I am the voice for victims. Victims very often who have no voice, who are unheard. And at the absolute heart of everything I do is to be their strong, loud voice to demand change.
Well, we know, talking of change, that crime changes, criminals change as well. In terms of crime prevention, what changes can be made and how do you make those changes to make sure that we are being as safe as we can be?
Well, at the heart of what I do is a realisation that leaving the fight against crime to the police, leaving it until there has been a crime and that there are victims whose lives have been damaged and potentially changed forever, it is not the right thing. We have to get upstream of crime and we have to try and prevent crimes from happening. If we're going to win that battle against the criminals, we have to create a big team, and the public are a vital part of that. So actually encouraging the public to be the eyes and ears of the police, to come forward with information, that is the way we can make life very, very difficult for the criminals who are trying to prey on us.
But you also need to protect the victims of crime as well, don't you? How do you go about doing that?
Well, that's why we always need to make sure that at the core of this, we have that robust, effective policing service that's there to respond quickly, to offer that immediate assistance and to protect the victims with an envelope of strong, effective, robust policing.
I don't want to take you down a political road, but I'm interested in your view on the numbers of police officers that we have in the force area and the numbers of police stations. Do we have enough of either of those?
Well, the one thing I'm absolutely certain about is that when the public give me their hard-earned money, they want to see bobbies, not bricks. I know what the public want is that visible, effective policing presence that prevents crime from happening very often, and that's my priority.
Let's talk about something that's been seldom out of the headlines of late, really, and that's young people and radicalisation. How can the police monitor this? How can the officers spot when this is happening and work with young people to try and prevent it?
Well, again, it's not for the police to do that in isolation. They cannot. It's for the police to have those effective, close, respectful relationships with all parts of our community. And that's where the role of our PCSOs is so vital and so effective. We have had issues of terrorism in this area, most of it from the extreme right wing, actually. With the horrendous murder of Corporal Lee Rigby, we had a ridiculous attempted firebombing of a mosque in Grimsby. Because we have long-standing relationships with the Muslim community, we were able to quickly deal with that, and there was no retaliation at all. I am hugely proud of the Muslim community that we have right across our force area, because they spend a lot of time helping us to keep our communities safe. They are very happy to work with Humberside Police because they know we have a common interest. We don't want this to happen.
But how concerned do we need to be in this area of terrorism?
Everybody needs to be concerned because complacency is the greatest tool of a lot of criminals, If we take our eye off the various balls that are out there, those things that potentially challenge us, then we're vulnerable. Let's keep our eyes open, and if we see things that don't look right and we hear things that don't sound right, report it. Report it to the police, report it to Crimestoppers, report it to the local authority. But whatever you do, don't keep silent.
You've been in this post a little while now, well and truly bedded in. You've seen the area, you've been around the area within this role. What is your vision now, a few years after you've started, what is your vision now for policing and crime within the Humberside Force area?
My vision is that we have a leaner, more efficient and effective police service. One where we return to those basic principles of policing, the use of officer discretion, professional judgment, common sense if you like, where police officers are empowered to do the right thing at the right time. I've absolutely stripped out those arbitrary numerical targets, which I believe corrupted British policing, which made police officers do the wrong things. I want police officers to do what the public want them to do, to be able to act quickly, effectively, and to be professional, but at the same time be human, to be their champions in the community, to do the right thing.
Good to see you. Thank you very much, as I say, for coming in and sparing time. Matthew Grove, thank you. Well, now it's time for your help. Crimestoppers and Humberside Police would like to speak to these people who've been caught on camera in our local area. If you recognise any of them, of course, please call Crimestoppers or Humberside Police. The numbers are at the bottom of your screen now.
Humberside Police are trying to identify this man in connection with dealing counterfeit money at Adam Internet Cafe on Holderness Road, Hull, on Thursday the 12th of March 2015. Humberside Police are trying to identify this man in connection with an alleged sexual assault at a shop on Corporation Road, Grimsby, on Wednesday the 21st of January 2015. Humberside Police are trying to identify this man in connection with a burglary on West Common Lane, Scunthorpe, on Saturday the 7th of February 2015.
Well, that's about all we have time for. And thank you for watching Eye on Crime. Remember, if you're concerned about crime, then you can call Crimestoppers on 0800 555 111, or of course, Humberside Police on 101, and in an emergency, 999. And if you've been affected by any of today's issues, contact information is on our webpage. And remember, with the right knowledge, we can all play a part in keeping our eye on crime. Cheerio.